Okay, Callie, mommy's gonna film. You gotta be quiet, okay?
What is this called?
Monster House. Put it in your case, but it's very scary, okay?
Very scary?
It's about a house that's a monster and like it's kind of like haunted house.
And there's a monster in it?
Yeah, it's kind of scary. But maybe when you're a little older, you might like the movie.
And
Okay?
there's a fire truck.
Yeah.
I like fire trucks because they're red.
Okay. That was my little girl. She was curious about what do you call it? Monster House. So I was just giving her a little lowdown. Anyways, welcome to my channel. My name is Cece Sunny. I am the writer and independent author of The Curse of Wrath. It is a dark fantasy romance, clean romance, for ages 13 and up. It is available on Amazon in both ebook, paperback, and hardback, so go check it out. Today, starting the brainstorm, I wanted to do this video to help more ideas of the kind of conflicts and problems that your book should have. I kind of have this rule of I like to have at least 3 or 4 conflicts going on in my story. And one of the biggest things that you need to do is you have to give your characters conflict and trials. I like to do it with both your heart, your mind, and your body, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so, hi. What do you need now? Okay, come here. Come here. Okay. You're very pretty. You can't keep coming in here with DVDs, okay?
Okay.
I'll help you in a second. You're so sweet.
It's taking so long.
I know it's taking long. Just for a little longer. You want me to go start your video?
Mm-hmm.
So you can watch your movie? Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, where were we? Conflicts. I like to have my characters at least have 3 things that are going on personally for them. I like to try them mentally in their minds of what they think is the status quo and how they believe things should be, and also with their heart and their emotions of how they feel about things and their beliefs and their desires and their fears, and then physical challenges as well. People love to see your characters grow and change through your stories. So you have to put a lot of thought and consideration in what drives your character, what motivates them, and how they're going to rise and conquer these conflicts that happen in their lives, or how these conflicts might ruin them. Sometimes I like a downward arc of where they just get worse and worse, and sometimes that's a fun thing to do too. Anyways, I'm going to give you a list of conflicts that you can start with your story. I like to have 3 happening to my characters besides the major overarching arc of the story, your main plot line. I like to have I just like to look at as multiple problems going on in your story, and you're just going to have to problem solve your way out of your problems you created. So the first type of conflict is the most common and recognized one, and that is person versus person, number 1. And it is friction between friends or lovers, and it can also be the classic hero versus villains, protagonists, antagonists. This is where you are mostly dealing with people with opposite goals and agendas in the story from the other persons, basically. So that is the most common type of conflict that you have, and it's more of an emotional journey and of the character's growth and progress. It's really more heavily set on character development. The second type of conflict that I'm going to share with you is person versus nature. And personally, I love this one because it's an easy, nice little trick to raise the stakes and cause a little bit more chaos besides the things. Like, no matter how well laid out your plans are, even on a regular day, every day of our lives, when it's snowing on the roads and it's slick and icy, it's problems for us. And it's such an easy thing to do. Or when you fall sick and ill from bad weather, or when you have a horrible drought going on and the land is drying up and crops are failing and the animals are not reproducing, because animals, they're just trying to survive. And it's like, oh, it's like on death's door, you know. I love droughts. Droughts is one of my favorites. One day maybe I'll use drought, but I haven't yet. Also disease. So things versus nature and plagues. It can cause so much right off the bat problems and survival things that have to go on of how your character is going to survive in these situations. And it's a really cool, easy thing to put in your novel. I think it just adds one more problem that's different a little bit from the typical storytelling. Number 3 is person versus self. So this is kind of what I talked about in the beginning of how you want to try your characters both mentally, physically, and emotionally, is how you want to try your character. You're going to line out what do they desire in their life, what is it they really want, their goals of what they think will make them happy, you know. And then the next thing is their fear. What are they afraid of that will ruin their happiness or ruin their lives for them? And the other one is misbelief, the things that they believe how the way it should be, how the status quo is, and to really challenge those 3 things in a person. So the next one on our list is number 4, person versus society. And a really great example of this is, I'm sure everyone has either seen the movie or read the books, and that is The Hunger Games, is the most recognizable example I can give you guys that maybe all of you know about. Is basically where protagonist or your character is pitted against the society, the government system, or how the life is lived or how things are done. And they are challenged by that and they want to change it. They don't like it. And it's not beneficial to them, or they want to do a coup, rise up in rebellion. And that is what I'm talking about when we do person versus society. And if you just go study past societies and governments, you'll come up with plenty of problems and conflict and why and how they started, okay? Number 5 is persons versus the supernatural. So magic or ghosts or something that is out of this world, unbelievable. It challenges what they know, what they believe to be possible and real. And it is really hard for some people to overcome. Is something that challenges their belief of how the world should work and the magic and having to face something that they've never dealt with before. It is really a fun. I love supernatural. I love the fantasy, and I like is it cryptozoology? I love that kind of stuff. I think it's so much fun. The lore, I don't know if it's real or not, and if it's real, it kind of doesn't bother me. It more so fascinates me. I'm like, I want a documentary. I want to know more if they are real. And that's so funny because I don't know, I think a lot of people would be nervous or scared, and I'm okay with it. Weirdly, I don't know. Anyways, so the number 6 on our list is person versus technology. There's always a stubborn few. Usually it's in the older generations, but even I went through this when I was used to the flip cell phones. I loved my cell phone. It was really hardy and it was just fun. I loved pushing the buttons, and I fought for a long time to finally go to an iPhone or, you know, a smartphone. I don't know. It's kind of funny that I fought it so hard because I love my iPhone now. I would be lost without it, but it's just fighting against technology or to try and learn something new, challenging what we believe, what we think we know, and then having to learn something new. And this goes right into number 7 is person versus change. Change is such a hard thing for anyone to do for any reasons. All of these conflicts that I listed, I think the biggest obstacle they all have in common is change to the person's world of happiness and they don't want things to change, or maybe they do, the way of something that has always been done the same way, that is threatening to any society, any person. They're not going to be happy. They're not going to like it or enjoy it. And they're going to fight it tooth and nail sometimes, to the death. They don't care. They like the way things are. Just leave them alone. You will always have the stubborn people who do not want change. So that is another good conflict. So I hope these conflicts have kind of helped you to figure out which one is your conflicts in your story, and to really dive in and to study them. One more way that I love to challenge and to raise the stakes in my novels is there's always the threat of the worst thing that can happen. And sometimes authors are a little scared to let the worst thing happen because you wrote yourself into a hole, and it's not always possible to write yourself back out of it and to make it okay, and to also make the readers happy. Like, a lot of people have a problem with the resurrection trope. So I have kind of like rules because it's hard. What makes the resurrection trope so hard for me to like totally write it off and it's bad to use is in real life situations, there's instances where people who should not have survived did, or should not have lived. When someone has drowned and they have not had oxygen for 10 minutes or 30 minutes, and you hear of these miraculous stories of them coming back to life and that they are okay. Or you have the people that had the same situation happen to them and they were given the same medical care and they sadly passed away. It is a real thing. Or you hear about people who have been shot in the head and they survived, or have a rebar go through their head. How is that possible? And they're alive and conscious. There are some instances where, but they are changed too. They're not the same. They're different. They have a little bit of maybe trauma from it or some things. If I'm doing a resurrection trope, it has to be like all the things that are needed to be there are there and perfect. Like if so-and-so wasn't there, or if something didn't happen, or if all these elements weren't all together, then the person would have died, basically. It's kind of like the perfect storm, the only way that maybe you could do a resurrection trope, but I caution you on using the resurrection trope to get yourself out of a hole that you may dig or you may put yourself into when you're writing, but you can do it. Just don't rely on the resurrection trope all the time, or rely on time travel or some weird thing or magic that you could have just used magic all along to get yourself out of the problem. That's not going to fly with readers, and they're not going to like it or enjoy it. So when you let the worst thing happen to them happen, you really want to let your characters live in the moment of their trials and to see how it changes them. How do they feel? What are they thinking? Letting the worst thing happen, it's going to raise the stakes because it's also going to surprise the reader. The reader is not always going to, they kind of sometimes, I think, expect writers to take a more safe route, or the really obvious like resurrection trope or time travel or something like that to fix your problem. But sometimes it is good for the readers to have to face the problem instead. Face the realization that no, so-and-so is not coming back. They are truly dead. Or no, you can't use any of these tricks in the book to always write yourself back out of something horribly bad that has happened. I don't think you should always write yourself out of those situations. That's when you really see the strength of your characters, how they face the problems. And it helps us as readers, as people, when we see examples of overcoming hardship or overcoming difficult situations or tragedy. It inspires us. And it's like such a missed opportunity sometimes when we always just do a quick fix or like scrub it away, like, haha, it never happened. And that ruins the experience sometimes. So it's a very cautionary thing of let the worst happen, only if you can write yourself out of it in a good way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I hope this probably jumble of thoughts and conflicts helped you some way in figuring out what kind of route you want to go with your story and the conflicts that you can have. I am on Goodreads, Facebook, Amazon, and Pinterest. On Facebook, I'm on it a little bit, not too much, and I'm thanking you guys for being so patient with me and for following me on this journey. I'm hoping that my tips are helping you. If there's some things you'd like me to talk about or to tackle, go ahead and write it in the comments down below, and I will check them out. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will see you in the next video. Bye.